So I feel this is a pretty different type of video than what I've done before. I have been like shaking with excitement for Rhythm Heaven Groove. So I've been a fan of the series for a long time. And now that we're finally getting a new entry after 11 years, it is insane. And after thoroughly enjoying my time with the demo, I decided, what better time to just make a last minute, what I hope to see slash what I predict to see slash I just want to talk about by what I want in this game. Uh, Being realistic off of what we've shown, and also want to be more specific than I want the game to be good, which I obviously. So let's start with some of the single player stuff. Uh, so in the direct, they said there are over 80 mini games. And draw that 80 number has been either there's 80 solo mini games or over 80 mini games to play in single player. And obviously this means that there are 80 total games counting sequels and remixes, plus some extra bonus stuff. And with 80 total sets, or with 80 games, that would mean there would be, with 4 minigames and a remix per each set, that means there would be 16 remixes in total. And my personal hope for that is we get 10 remixes, 10 sets of regular old minigames. And after the 10th remix, we roll credits. And then afterwards, we get 6 sets of sequels. And that's another thing. I don't want the remix 10 of this game to be a medley. Because I think the main thing is that with I think like back in Tengoku, which is why I'm kind of worried they might do it. Tengoku had Remix 6, which is the last remix before credits, be the medley remix. And there's a reason that DS and Fever didn't do that. Because like just the medley remix is just a more fun final remix. Personally, something I think would be really cool is after you beat Remix 16, which would be another standard remix like the other post game ones, you then unlock the secret finale remix, which would be the medley. Though realistically, it'll probably be Remix 16 as the medley remix. And so I want for the medley remix that so with 80 games, assuming that we have the 10 sets, that would mean there would be 40 mini games, which is considering the previous most original new mini games was Fever, which had I think it was 29. It's definitely a bit of a step up, but I really hope they don't go the Megamix route of splitting the remix into multiple parts. Of having like multiple medley remixes. Because like sure, it would probably be like nearly 7 minute long, maybe even 8 minute long medley remix. But also it sounds like fun. Like I would love to have an overly long medley remix as your finale. Because like technically this is kind of post game. But I just mean versus really more Rhythm Heaven post game is more perfect campaign, but it's sort of that same time I was saying something that yes, a ridiculously long medley remix would be a nightmare to perfect. But like perfects are an optional challenge that's only for players who want to go the extra mile. And personally I see no issue with that type of extra post game challenge being a bit difficult. Yeah. So uh that's our say like on the medley remix front. Next one I want to touch on is the extra stuff. So we know that we have obviously Beat Spell that's been pushed in the trailers, got its own separate Nintendo Treehouse, separate from the hour and a half Treehouse for some reason. But I guess looking at the previous games in Tengoku, you had the Rhythm Toys, Endless Minigames, and Drum Lessons. DS had Rhythm Toys, Endless Minigames, and Guitar Lessons / Battle of the Bands. Fever had Endless Minigames, Rhythm Toys, and the extra Tengoku minigames. And I think this one is following a similar style, where you have, because we already know that Rhythm Toys are returning, and Beat Spell seems like the extra game this one, similar to following the footsteps of Drum Lessons, Battle of the Bands, and the extra games. And that means that I think there's a pretty good chance we could see endless minigames show up again. And I really hope so, because endless minigames are quite fun, and personally I think we need to see them back. Especially considering the fact that Megamix kinda snubbed them a bit, only having one original endless minigame, and the three ones they returned really, I mean, Sick Beats is really fun. Uh, I'm not sure why we needed Coin Toss or Claptrap, but so yeah, I just hope we get more rhythm, more endless mini games, because those are quite fun distractions. And speaking of endless mini games, back in Rhythm Heaven Fever, there's a secret endless minigame where after getting a perfect on every single game, you got access to Endless Remix. A Endless Remix. Pretty self-explanatory. But instead of just using the endless minigames that existed, it introduced a few more. I hope that they bring back this concept of an endless remix. I'm not sure if it would be a thing for for doing all perfects, especially if they have the like super long method remix. I think either doing it where you have to get a certain score on every endless game that unlocks the endless remix, or maybe superb on every level. Because I think if we're doing this as a final challenge of your endless skills, I think it would make more sense where you have to reach a target score on every single endless game. But either way, I just love to see a new endless remix, because I'm pretty sure it was actually something in the files for Megmix, just they're going to bring it back or something. I don't know if there's any credit to that. Uh, and one last, as this is where I'm going to transition away from solo stuff, but actually, there's one thing I like to give on the solo front. I hope that Remix 1 not having a theme is kind of a one-off thing. Because with 16 whole remixes, I feel like they might blend together if they don't have a theme to them. So I think if you can, so here's my personal idea that this may just be a bit of a high in the skies dream, but they do that each remix has a bit more visual stuff going on. To the point that all the post-game minigames have like a lot of visual effects, where it's force you to look more on the audio side to actually time your inputs. So where the remixes rely more and more on audio cues and use the visual space to just have some glamoury stuff. Which, yes, that may just be my Heaven Studio brain thinking like, oh, wouldn't it be really cool if there was this like constant VFX happening? But like, I don't know, I just think we kind of need to have something like extra for the post game remixes. Not necessary, probably won't happen, but I think we kind of need. But just bring us, I just think that hopefully we'll get more themes for remixes to help stand them apart a bit. And to a transitioning point, Karate Man is going to appear in this game. Now, Karate Joe, in some essence, will appear because it would be weirder if he wasn't here. So considering the Wandering Samurai is back and the Turnips are back, kind of feels like it would be weird for Karate Joe to not also be with them. Considering the fact that if you don't know, Karate Joe is the star of the Karate Man minigames. The first one being the very first minigame in Rhythm Tengoku. It was the last minigame before the Remix 6, which is remix for the credits in Heaven DS. Same in Rhythm Heaven Fever. It was the last minigame for Remix 7, which was the one for the credits in that game. And in Rhythm Heaven Megamix, Karate Man Zero is the first minigame you play, and Karate Man Senior is the last minigame you play before the final remix. So it'd be kind of weird if they didn't bring Karate Man back. I don't know if he'll be a solo minigame like near the end like he was in Fever, and DS, or if it'll be a multiplayer minigame, or it'll be an endless minigame. I don't care. I just know that he will show up at some point because it's just too iconic of a minigame to really exclude. So let's actually talk about the multiplayer a bit. I just hope there's good variety in these minigames, and that there's don't because I think the main thing that could happen is I worry that some of these could become a bit stale pretty fast. Considering that obviously this being rhythm games, each level only has one version. Of course, we know there are sequels, but with only 30 slots as a whole for these minigames, that honestly might even be a bit more worrying that there's going to be less total minigames because some of those slots are taken up by sequels. But hopefully it'll still work out well. But another thing that looking at the menu shape with each column only having 3 options, I don't think we're getting multiplayer remixes. Just it wouldn't make sense to this menu format. But on the far left, there are three icons: a set players, a set names, and an extra one that's locked in the demo. And considering you get rings for getting amazings, I would be willing to bet there's extra stuff in multiplayer. Uh, Obviously, probably, I think most likely endless minigames and rhythm toys. There, I way more on the side of more endless minigames are going to be. Say probably there's going to be quite a few endless minigames that are multiplayer exclusive. But here's another idea. It's not going to happen. It probably will not happen. But I just want to pitch this idea because I think it would be really cool. So, like, my idea is that essentially the very end, getting all of the rings would unlock 2 new stages. The first one being Co-op Remix, which would be a medley remix of all the co-op games, where everyone has a combined health bar, and if you miss too many times, then every time someone misses, the health bar goes down. If it goes all the way down, then the remix ends and everyone fails. If you make it to the end, then you win, getting a amazing if you do especially well. And the other one would be the Versus remix, which would be a similar idea, doing a medley remix of all the Versus minigames, with at the end tallying up who won, basically who got the most hits correct, or missed the least amount. If it's a tie with 2 players having missed or hit the same amount, then it'll just go by who had the higher accuracy. And this probably won't happen just because it's a bit high off in the sky. It would be so cool. It would be such a cool addition if they had it, but I don't see them doing it. I'm not sure if I said this already, but I think if they were to add it, would be you have to get rings on every single stage. It's like one final test of your group's skill. So there is only just one last hope that I wrote down that I want to talk about here. And this is one that I'm sure that I don't think is too common. I'm seeing it put around. But I hope we get a CD soundtrack released, at least, and hopefully release outside of Japan. Because Nintendo has released CD soundtracks for for quite a few of their games, including Rhythm Tengoku DS and Rhythm Tengoku, Rhythm Heaven DS, and Rhythm Heaven Fever all got CD soundtrack released. Rhythm Heaven Megamix did not get one because that game had a very complicated development cycle. But I would not be surprised if Groove got a Nintendo Music release, but I really hope they release it on CD. Because I like collecting CDs, I like having soundtracks on CDs, and I think having this game have like a soundtrack officially released on like a way you can actually own it would be so nice. It'd be a very good just merch idea. Because I mean, a lot of people who are like super into Rhythm Heaven are obviously going to want to listen to the soundtrack, and you can just sell them the soundtrack. Like, it'd be a good business move, and plus, person just want it. It would be a very effective way to listen to the music. But at the very least, we know that uh, if anything, the YouTube uploaders will have it within the week. So I guess that's all the wishes I have to share. Uh, yeah, I honestly would be ecstatic if any of my hopes came up, but honestly, I'm probably going to enjoy this game either way. Because I'm just so excited to play another Rhythm Heaven. Like a full new Rhythm Heaven game is probably the biggest. Yeah, I aside Mega Mix, but the biggest amount of new content the series has seen yet. It's going to be fun. All right, I don't know how to end this, so I guess I'll see you all later. Yeah.